and a survey of car owners claims to have found the best and worst brands when it comes to service at the dealership. What Car magazine found that the highest approvals were for Jaguar, Lexus and Honda dealerships. The lowest were for Chevrolet, Alfa Romeo and Fiat. Well, joining me now is Nigel Donnelly, editor of whatcar.com. Thank you very much for coming into us, Nigel. Let's talk about fuel prices first. I mean, is it definitely the case that when prices go up, motorists fill up less? Isn't it just a necessity to fill up when you need to?
Yeah, I think motorists are very acutely aware of the cost of fuel, and when the situations come along that fuel prices go up, then motorists tend to turn their back on their cars if they can. And I think in July in particular, we had a glorious spell of weather, and I think that made it easier for people to cycle to work or get public transport or find an alternative means of travel. OK, let's talk about your car dealership survey. What are people's pet hates when it comes to going to the dealership? What wins you a bad approval rating? I think it's quite easy to get a bad approval rating, so dealers have really done well to have such generally good ratings across the board. It tends to be being treated well, even if you're left hanging around, if you've got a comfortable place to sit. They want fair pricing, and they want it to be easy to park the car when they get there and to get in and out as quickly as possible.
Interesting you mentioned fair pricing there. I mean, the perception is when you go to a branded dealership and you're buying branded parts, you're going to get gouged. Do you think that's a fair assessment, or are people just not willing to pay the high prices that are justifiable?
I think with the survey we've just done, they were for vehicles that were quite new, and I think a lot of people would return to the main dealer because that's where they bought it. But it's always the case that people have a perception that main dealer pricing can be a bit on the steep side. But what we're finding is that dealers are appreciating that to retain customers and look after them is a vital part of securing that next sale, and just generally making sure people have a good experience. And we found a very strong correlation between people liking their cars and liking their dealers. Looking at the top of your satisfaction table, Jaguar's in there, Lexus is in there. They're both luxury brands. I wonder, has that got something to do with the high approval ratings? But also, I mean, BMW and Audi, also luxury brands, and they're decidedly mid-table. Do you get more when you pay more for your car in the first place? It can look that way looking at the top of the table, but it's also the case that if you look floating around the top of the table as well, Honda are in there in third place, and they're a sort of they're a more sort of standard brand, something in the middle of the market maybe, but they really look after their customers and it pays dividends, so it doesn't have to be expensive cars, meaning you get good dealer service. When it comes to what your magazine advises motorists to do you say go to your dealer or look for a better price from perhaps a good independent garage? Well, a good independent garage that services using sort of main dealer quality, OEM quality parts, that means you can maintain your warranty. So it's worth looking around for a dealer that you can trust. But we'd say that most people tend to return or go back to the dealer where they purchased the car, and it's nice that they can expect good service. And hopefully this survey, I mean, people know which manufacturers tend to have the best dealer service to support their purchase. And just briefly, Nigel, what are the key things, if you're going to shun your main dealer, what are the key things you look out for from your backstreet or your independent garage to indicate a good quality one? You really want to be looking that they're using the right quality of parts, they're using the correct oils, you want a proper breakdown of what's been done to the car. And I think for most people, if your garage looks like it can't look after itself, it probably can't look after your car.